Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E.G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
We are on minute 63 of Groundhog Day. Phil stole Phil. Human stole Groundhog, in case you're new. Haven't seen the film. He has just gone through the tunnel. He is heading south out of Woodstock, Illinois, pretending to be Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And a lot of this car chase, Okay. This is one of those moments coming up where I don't know where they filmed it. Location manager, Bob Hudgens. I remembered his name today. I was talking about him several episodes ago and couldn't remember his name. Bob Hudgens, nice guy. Currently working as a location manager for TV shows like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med. Location manager for a lot of stuff around Chicago, including Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is how he knew about the town square because they film in the town square of Woodstock, Illinois for a scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So that's why it was on the location list that they scouted. And then they liked it because it has a town square and gives you the nice visual enclosure of space. Unlike the actual Gobbler's Knob, which is outside of town near the woods. Speaking of enclosure of space, Phil, of course, has escaped it. He is leaving Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. And for those people who I was ranting at last time for complaining that the van's not fitting through the tunnel, never mind that I'm pretty sure in season 2 I proved that it could. We don't see it go through the tunnel. And the next shot where we see there the van is, we're looking from the front of the truck. The car Buster's in, the police car, they're pretty close to the truck, but the van is actually back quite a ways. So I don't know, maybe the van did go around the tunnel because even if it would have fit and my math proved that it would fit, maybe Larry wasn't so sure and so he drove around. And so he got a little behind and now he's catching up. Whew. Rita, he must have just snapped. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just snapped. Because you know what this is one of those moments in the film where I don't know where it was filmed. Bob Hudgens told me, or it maybe said in the walking tour, that they filmed the car chase in, for some reason I want to say the town McKeesport, but that might be somewhere else entirely in a reference from some other thing. But there's a town nearby where they supposedly filmed the car chase. There's this one shot in the car chase where off to the left side of the road, there's like a pillar, maybe like a wall with a sign announcing the location of a driveway into like a business or a house. I don't know. But I looked around on Google Street View all over that town where they supposedly filmed the car chase. The problem is the town where they supposedly filmed the car chase has almost no roads that are wide open with hardly anything on the side of them. Maybe it did in 1992 when they were filming, but not in 2014 when I was looking it up. And several times in the past decade where I just on a whim go and look it up again. I've never figured out where they film parts of this car chase because also there seem to be hills, and around this area of Illinois there are no fucking hills like this. There's no roads going up and down like some of these shots here. And so I haven't found it all. But when they do get to the Nimitz quarry, that was a real place. It is no longer a quarry where they are mining whatever they're mining. It has now actually been, I guess, partly refilled with what they had taken out, like all the rocks and stuff. I don't know how that works. And filled with water, and there are houses around it. So it's now like a man-made lake and a neighborhood. Woodstock is west of Chicago by like an hour drive, I think it was. And then if you go like another hour farther west or ish, you'll get to this place where the Nimitz quarry is, or was. Where they supposedly filmed the car chase is actually between Woodstock and Chicago, if I remember right. The other town. But as far as I can tell, they didn't film where Bob Hudgens think they filmed the car chase, which is strange. Phil, of course, for this scene, for the wide shots, he has a puppet, or like a stuffed groundhog in his lap, or the driver, if they have a stunt driver for some of these shots. Maybe the same guy who jumped off the building. What's his name? Oh my god. I just had a blank on his name. I remembered Bob Hudgens and I forgot the stunt guy's name. Whatever. We'll see him do a great little dive from the tower in a few minutes. And maybe I'll remember his name by then. Oh, I almost had it. It almost came to me. Maybe I'll remember it when I need it in a few minutes. Whoever was driving, whether it be Bill Murray for some of the shots or a stand-in, they had a stuffed groundhog. For the close-ups, the actual groundhog, Scooter, is in Phil's lap. What's funny is while filming this sequence, they stopped for like a break, and a school bus went by. Meanwhile, Bill Murray's standing there next to a pillar. Hey, maybe it's the pillar I saw at the side of the road and was been trying to find. Where could I could find where there's a school nearby? No, I don't know the nearby. That's the problem. I don't know what to look near anymore. If you happen to work on this movie and you're listening to this podcast and you know where they filmed this car chase, please let me know. Or if you know Bob Hudgens, remind him to call me. Actually, I never contacted him he gave me his business card. He was going to help me get in touch with Harold Ramis, but then Ramis died, so we never really had contact after the Groundhog Breakfast, where I actually sat at the same table as Bob. Anyway, Bill Murray is holding the puppet, and the school bus, stops right by where they are. And to entertain the kids, because they're looking out the window at this film crew sitting there, takes the groundhog puppet and slams it against the pillar over and over, pretending like he's hurting this groundhog. But it's just a stuffed animal. It's fine. He probably held it up after. Show him, it's fine, kids, Freak him out for a moment, then show him it's okay. Harold Ramis in the commentary tells this story, right? I think I've heard it somewhere else, but also Harold Ramis talks about it. He implies that, the real groundhog was standing by right there and basically also saw Bill Murray beating the fake one. So when they got back in the truck to film a close-up part with Bill and Scooter bit him on the hand. They had to stop filming, and Bill Murray had to go to the hospital to get a rabies shot and to get checked out. It wasn't a horrible wound, but when you get bit by an animal, you gotta get checked out, because things like rabies, of course. So it caused a delay in filming because Bill Murray was trying to entertain some kids. And apparently Scooter was like, yeah, you ain't beating me like that, you beat that other groundhog.
What I just recounted is not the version from the commentary track, so it may have come from Bob Hudgens. I don't remember now, and definitely didn't remember while recording this. Here is the version from the commentary track.
And the groundhog was, we did way too many takes. The groundhog was in the truck for a long time. He was starting to get a little upset. And then there's only so much of this he wanted to do. So one frame after we cut away, he turns and bites Bill really hard on the finger. I think he bit through the glove. Huh?
Hey, they're chasing us. Come on, make it fun.
That was the end of the shooting for that day. I think he got nipped twice before we wrapped the scene. Yeah, that was it. Right after that. Then Bill had to go get a rabies shot or something.
Anyway, starting with the dialogue. Rita, he must have just snapped. Larry, this ought to be good. Larry's enjoying this, man. Rita's like, what is he doing? What can he be thinking? Cut to Phil, and he has Punxsutawney Phil out of his cage, in his lap, by the steering wheel, as if he's laying the groundhog drive. And he's like, that's not bad for a quadruped. You gotta check your mirrors. Just side of your eye. That's it. Hey, they're chasing us. Come on, make it fun. And of course, we're seeing some other shots of the street and the cars. Phil is being followed. We get a shot from behind. Red truck with Phil. The car busters in with the young dude driving. The police car. There should be multiple police cars, but in these shots we don't see multiple because then it's the news van. And the minute ends, of course, with lines that people remember for sure. The shot of Phil with the groundhog in his lap, driving the car. And he says, don't drive angry, which is great advice, by the way. If you're angry, you should probably not be operating a vehicle or doing anything particularly meaningful or that you need to be responsible for the details of because you might get it wrong. Deal with your moods before you deal with other stuff, like driving your car. And to be fair, I'm not sure Punxsutawney Phil is angry. I don't think he's driving angry. I think he's just having a good time. You may not know it, because the movie doesn't tell us about the lore of Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, but Punxsutawney Phil is immortal. He's the groundhog every year. Same guy. And I, for one, choose to believe that. Okay, fine, I don't, but it's funny to talk about the lore of it, just like the weirdness of the Inner Circle. Look up the Punxsutawney Inner Circle online, and you'll see how weird they are with their weird titles. Like the most basic one would be something like the Weather Captain, and then they'll have one that's like the Lord of Storms and Thunder. They just have weird-ass names that they came up with for their titles, for their organization that isn't really anything but an excuse for this. Once a year, they have a big event, and then they go back to doing whatever their day jobs are. Buster's not the mayor, by the way. Well, he might be. He could be the mayor. But the fact that people always call him the mayor when they talk about this movie is so weird to me. Like, if a movie doesn't tell you that someone's the mayor, why would you assume they're the mayor just because they're wearing a suit? There's a whole bunch of guys on stage with suits. Just last minute, we saw Goober with he had a suit on, same suit that Buster's got. And there's the guy with the big mustache that's up on stage. There's the old guy who smiles too much. The actual groundhog handler was wearing a suit. I don't know why anyone started calling Buster the mayor of Punxsutawney, but the movie does not tell us he's the mayor. He's the head of the Inner Circle, which I forget what the head of the Inner Circle is called, but he'd have a special title and it ain't mayor. Anyway, that's all I have for minute 63. Until next time, I don't know, take care, go for a drive, and don't drive angry.
Knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, laughing, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?